some people walk in the front door and they want to run
Nope.
the hills. It's like, nope, I'm out of here. Some people want to look and, look under the house, in the house, and they take 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times you get in the first house and they've told you, okay, I want a house with open floor plan, because they've heard that term.
Welcome to Real Estate Success Partner. We're your hosts, Devin, Dubuc,
David, Nguyen,
and we're here to talk about how to have great success in every market. Hey, today, guys, we've got somebody pretty epic. Dave, you always find the coolest people. Who'd you bring along with you today?
Oh, she's one of my favorites. Dawn Butler from Arkansas, my hometown hero. Dawn, what's up?
Not much. How are you doing today?
Good. I've been waiting for this podcast for a while to get you on here, because I know you're gonna wow us with all the information you're gonna give us.
Well, I don't know about wowing, but we'll try.
Well, we know you're a wealth of knowledge, and you're doing great things up there in Arkansas, and that's why we wanted to find, let the people out there find you that don't already know you. You already know a whole lot of people, right? So let's give our audience a little bit of information about you. Where are you at in Arkansas?
I am in Ash Flat, which is sort of central eastern Arkansas.
Central Eastern. Giving us a couple of big cities folks would know.
We're probably about an hour from from Mountain Home, Batesville, and Jonesboro. So
there it is.
that round
right there in all the beautiful parts of the country.
We're in the hill country.
Yeah. For the people that don't know, you need to get over there if you haven't been for vacation, or if you're ready to move to that new second home that's surrounded by beautiful lakes, beautiful mountain. Tell us
Lots
a little
of
bit.
rivers.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about it. I've been there, but let's let the audience know where you're at, because I'm sure you're going to paint a pretty picture.
We have lots of lakes, lots of creeks, rivers, the White River, the Spring River, Greer's Ferry, Norfolk Lake. I mean, there's lots of outdoor activities. Not a lot nightlife, but there is lots of outdoor activities: hiking, camping, boating, fishing.
So when you want to unplug and get out there to see God's country, this is where we're heading.
Beautiful hills, beautiful sceneries.
Yeah.
You should be able to find a house with a view anywhere.
That's amazing. Well, we know, with a lot of people migrate working these days, you're probably seeing some folks that are, moving to their second home a little early, right?
They are.
City. Yeah. And they love your beautiful views. I mean, I've been to the Ozarks, and in fact, we spent a lot of time there when I was a kid growing up. And it's one of the, if you haven't been, folks, it's one of the most beautiful places in the United States. It's gorgeous up there.
I just had someone retire early to work from home, and they got a lakefront home so they can sit on the deck and work from home.
Sounds terrible.
It does.
So let's talk about that a little bit. Are you from Arkansas originally?
I'm originally from Arkansas, a small town called Goobertown.
Goobertown. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
So born and raised, went to school there.
Yes.
And then said, I'm going to be a realtor.
Actually, I worked for the government for quite a few years and almost retired, and then switched over to real estate so I could stay at home and take care of my mom.
That's awesome.
I know, but tell the people how long you've been a realtor.
6 years now.
Very cool.
And it's really been a blessing, because I could stay at home, take care of mom, and work my schedule around finding her things that she needs to do.
Well, let's talk about this a little bit, because, last time in my history working with a government worker from a real estate agent wasn't always the same type of experience. So how do you make that successful jump, from being in an industry that's known for not great customer service to one that is all about customer service, and have the success that you're having? Because you're doing a great job. Your numbers are amazing.
Well, when I worked with the government, I was over some counties that I believed in customer service. If someone walked in the door, we were not the normal government office. So to me, I think that helped me transition easier, because customers are the first. I mean, if we don't have customers, we're not in business.
That's right. Well, I love that that's your philosophy. I had a feeling you were going to say something like that. So you were the one that kept the atmosphere and the positive vibes going. Because
I've been in those government offices where you feel like you've inconvenience them.
That's it. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking
Exactly. I was like, we're not doing that.
Well, and I knew, just from, again, seeing what you've accomplished, there's no way that you were providing that kind of service to your customers. So I had a feeling there was a story there. So you were in the most pleasant government office in the United States of America.
Definitely.
I love it. So 6 years ago, had to come back and take care of mom, which, again, God bless you for that. They take care of us when we're young, and, we get to return the favor when they get older.
It reverses around. It does. I was just glad I could.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you could too, because it is families first. That's our number one core value here at our office. And, we mean that. We want our employees to be able to have that time with their families when they need it. And, God bless you for switching gears and finding another field so that you could be there to support your mom. That's such an important part of life. So
she
did get tired of looking at a lot of houses with me.
Well, let's talk about that, Dawn. So, to all the realtors out there, because we talk about this, what's an average drive time for you on any given day?
Well, since I cover such a large area, I could go an hour between houses.
Yeah.
And I sometimes show 10 to 12 houses a day. I mean, it just depends. I try to keep them clustered together and maybe hit the furthest one, then work my way back. It is typical to drive 30 minutes between houses.
Yeah, well, I want to put some mileage on there. I think I talked to you a couple of times, and you said, hey, I got to get going. I'm up to 300 miles today. Yeah. Talked to you another time. Yeah. It was like another 300, another 250. So all these people that that don't want to drive too far or whatever, I'm always amazed. I call you the road warrior because you're always behind. You're always behind the screen.
Always behind
the windshield, going from client to client. But again, you have even in a rural area, you're doing well. You have a big client base, and let's talk about
for a small area. I don't know. I've just been lucky or what. I'm not sure, but I've done really well.
We're sure it's not luck. We're sure there's a secret to that method, and we're going to talk about that.
That's right.
But before we jump into that, I want to make sure that we get this front and clear, because when you're looking for an agent that's willing to put in the work, we talked about the drive time, but what you forget is in between each one of those drive times, there's a showing that she's walking through these homes. And, last time I looked, the typical showing is 30, maybe 45 minutes up to an hour?
It depends. Some people walk in the front door and they want to run the hills. It's like, nope, I'm out of here. Some people want to look and, look under the house, in the house, and they take 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times you get in the first house and they've told you, okay, I want a house with open floor plan, because they've heard that term. You walk in the first house, I don't like how you can see the dishes from the kitchen. I'm like, okay, but I do not like open house.
I changed my mind. Well, that changes the entire list of homes we're going to go see today.
Exactly. So then you're trying to think back to what else is available that I can switch up and show them.
Yeah, you're always on your feet. You're always on your feet. Yeah, quick on the feet. Well, let's talk about that, because 10 to 12 showings per day, average drive time of 30 minutes per showing, average probably look time of at least 30 minutes. So you're an hour per showing. That's about 10 to 12 hours a day. And that's not even talking about all the paperwork you got to do, girl. How do you keep all that together?
Government employee.
I need some help, but most time I'm up at 3:00 doing my paperwork.
Yeah. 3:00, guys.
In the morning.
Yeah. Hardest working realtor in show business. And, people don't see that, hard work and dedication that goes on behind the scenes to make all the magic happen.
Most people think we get paid per house we show. We don't.
Yeah. No. You don't get paid per house you show, and you only get paid for houses that actually sell and fund and close. Exactly. And man, when you're talking about the hardworking agents like yourself out there, there's no question as to why the compensation needs to be there, because you're putting in all that drive time, all those miles on your vehicle, all that gasoline, right? All of your personal time being spent showing house after house after house. And you don't get any compensation on that until the loan goes to funding. So you work hard for your money. You work very hard for your money. Yeah.
Matter of fact, I had a client following me I guess we had to meet after work, and it was like 6 when we met at the house. We come out of the showing and they had a flat. So I ended up taking him to town to get a plug and then back to see if it could fix. And then finally ended up just having to take him home
Yeah.
because we could not get the flat fixed.
So name another job where that's in the job description, right?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's not, by the way.
No.
It's not, right? So
well, hang on a
above and
second.
beyond.
That's a secret sauce right there, Dawn.
Yep.
You don't have to do that, but you did it because you care. That's why you are so successful out there. And again, I love talking to you because it comes across. You're down to earth, your personality. You want to help people. I want to talk about a little bit. 6 years in the business, and you're doing tremendous amount of sales. Where do you get your leads?
I started with Zillow. And it's sort of snowballed. Repeat clients. I have a lot of repeat clients, word of mouth.
Funny how that works out. You provide a great service. You bring a lot of great energy to the table. And you definitely are diligent about getting somebody to the right house. And they want to send their friends and family. It's kind of funny how that works out.
I've got one under contract now that I sold her dad a house, her uncle a house. I sold her house, and now I'm helping her and her fiance find a house.
The generations.
We're just going through the family.
That's right. Next thing you know, you're going to have a little kid who's grown up, and they're buying a house from you too.
Hey,
right?
She's got 5 kids. That's
there you go. Those are 5 opportunities, girl.
Exactly.
I love it. So let's talk about that a little bit. So does the transaction end at the closing day for you?
No.
Is that it?
No. I usually stay in touch with a lot of mine friends.
Yeah.
You know, they sort of become friends.
Yeah. Yeah. What's that look like, the follow-up?
Usually, I'll usually get 2 or 3 calls. It's like, hey, I know we didn't talk about this, but what am I supposed to do with this kind of thing? Yeah. I got this paper in the mail. What am I going to do with it?
Yeah.
Or, hey, I'd like to change up the stuff. Do you know any carpenters or contractors or a plumber or electrician?
So what you're saying is that the transaction doesn't stop at funding.
No.
So in some of these customers, you probably spend anywhere from 30 days to a year to help them find a home, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's where that relationship starts.
I think my longest one is I'd worked with a client for 3 years. We finally got him a house this spring.
Wow. Talk about that transaction. What was that like? 3 years looking for properties. Where did it start? What took so long, and how did it finish?
Well, he started by wanting a second home here. He was taking care of his mom. I think he had some things going on, so we sort of had him under contract, and I think his mom had to go in the hospital, and he had some really major stuff, so he changed, and we backed out. Then we started looking again like 6 months later. Then we never found the right house. Yeah. And then finally, after his mom did pass away, his situation changed, and he went ahead and got moved down here.
Yeah. Yeah. And you were
It was a long, drawn-out process.
Yeah. But you were a part of that process. And even after, a big tragedy like that, he was still thinking about you, that you're doing something right.
I think we were having a lot of the same issues with our mothers at the same time. So, you sort of find common ground.
That makes perfect sense. Well, let's talk about your why. We always love to know, what makes you tick, right? Why do you have this nurturing, caring, customer service?
That's a good question.
Where does it come from? There's got to be something that stems, from early on that made you want to provide excellent service.
My grandpa always said, if you're going to do something, do it right. Put everything into it. Yeah. So I guess I've just always developed that philosophy.
Your early mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Any stories about Grandpa you want to tell about, how he mentored you into becoming who you are today?
Well, you had to do what Grandpa said.
Old school.
Yep.
Old school. You did it or you did it.
Yeah. Or else, right?
There was no else. You just did it.
Yeah. I was raised in a similar family. My great grandfather, Roland Vanderbilt, he grew up on the farm, and man, he was a trapper, a hunter. He was anything the family needed him to do. He did it.
My grandpa logged, and he had farms, and so we had to pitch in and do. We spend our summers with Grandpa, but we weren't just sitting there watching TV. Nope. We were either helping bale hay in the cutting logs in the woods with him or whatever, picking peanuts, pulling peanuts.
Well, there it is. Yeah, there it is. By the way, can you call my kids for me and
tell them what they need to be doing?
Yeah. What's funny though is, we talk about, where those values come from. Well, there's the answer right there. You grew up, with an understanding that whatever you were supposed to do, you needed to put your everything into it. And it was hard work and it was dedication. And the reward was Grandpa didn't get mad at you.
And we did all of our work first. I mean, work came before, and if we had time afterwards, then you could go goof off.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that makes perfect sense. And I think that's a big part of who you are today. And that's why you go that extra distance and that extra mile to help folks. I love that. Thank you for sharing that story with us. I think it's so important for, our audience to get to know who you are. And we always know there's a story behind the success. And that's where your story starts, So let's talk about where it is today, right? So what does that look like, right? You've been doing this for 6 years. You're closing more loans than a lot of seasoned vets in a very small community. Last time I looked, we're here in the DFW. We've got millions of homes surrounding us, and I could throw a rock at any agency in any direction and find 30 agents that aren't doing nearly as much volume as you are, right? So how is that? How are you making that happen?
In some of those bigger markets, there's probably not enough houses, and so I'm really thinking the lower amount of realtors in our area might help.
Yeah.
But I'm not really, like I said, I just get out there and I'm going to go get her.
She's very modest.
She's too modest.
Because again, I'll go with you. The people here aren't driving 300 miles in one day.
Nope.
They're not. Even
and there is inventory, by the way.
And there is plenty of inventory.
We have inventory. Not plenty, right?
Yeah.
We're in a lower inventory market, but there's inventory.
Well, and I have had some clients that I've said, hey, I'm already working with a realtor, but is there any way I can switch? And it's like, you have to stick with your realtor unless you have an issue with them.
Yeah.
But they'll say, I've called, they won't talk to me, they won't call me back. And it's like, I'll be your realtor. I'll do that. If the phone rings, I answer it.
Yeah. Well, there it is right there. That's it. Because people want the consistency. It's important. We know that people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And
sometimes I let them slip through the cracks and I don't get everybody called back. It happens, but I try not to ever let that happen.
I'll bet it's more rare than it is common. And let me tell you something. What we know is that trust is built in small kept promises, and answering that phone when somebody calls and always responding back. Those are small kept promises. And that's the big difference. Yeah. Because you just said it, they come to you because the other realtor's not doing that. And as a result of that, they don't have confidence in the person they're working with. That's where your business is coming from.
And does it matter to me if it's a lot for $1,000 or it's a lake house for quite a bit more?
Yeah. Yeah. So, you're there to help them with any and all their transactions. And you take away the transactional feel. You make it about relationship. And here's what's funny. Maybe we shouldn't tell these other agents this. The $1,000 properties a lot of the time lead to 2 to 3 to 4 other transactions because they start coming back because they knew that you were there to support them even for that small purchase. And now all of a sudden they start to bring their friends and their family.
Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, I just cold called because the guy wanted the lot beside him. And so I just looked him up, found him, called him and said, hey, would you like to sell it? And he called me back last week and said, I've got some other properties I'd like to sell.
Boom. Boom. That's what's crazy, is that a lot of folks don't realize, good old fashioned phone work moves the needle. It really does. And cold calling, that's, again, a lot of people are afraid to do it. And, we had an agent on here not that long ago. She had a customer that really needed to sell a house, and the house was in just peril condition. It was not in good shape. And she needed to get this lady out of the house. And she called the fire department. She knew they were looking to expand. And she said, hey, I've got this house over here that's right by where you're trying to put your new fire department, and it needs a new home. I know we'll have to do some zoning, but I think this could be the first perfect property for you to buy. And guess what? They bought that home.
It worked.
They demoed it. She helped that client find a suitable home for her family, and it was because of the old-fashioned, phone work. And here you are doing the same thing, out there connecting the dots. Hey, I know this piece of property. Let me see if it'll sell.
Yeah. The worst they can do is tell you no. So what?
Yeah.
We call it just ask. Just ask.
Just ask.
Yeah, there's a famous billionaire. You might have heard of him, Steve Jobs.
Yeah,
And you should
I
look
have heard
this up
that
on.
name.
Yeah, you might have. You should. Yeah, obviously, he's past tense, but you should look him up online. He tells a story about when he was a kid. He was in high school, I think maybe middle school, and he'd heard Bill Packard or Bill Hewlett Packard guy, doing a speech on TV, and he was talking about these parts that he was using for building his computers, and Steve needed some of these parts, and so he called him up out of the blue. This is back in the days of the phone book. And he said, hey, I'm a kid. I go to this school and I'm building these computers. And I was wondering, what do you do with your spare parts? Now, mind you, he's calling the CEO of Hewlett Packard, right, on a Saturday afternoon. And he said, yeah, you know what? I've got some parts for you. In fact, I want you to come intern for me. And that's where he got a big part of his life started. But what he says in this video is, the one thing that we forget about is sometimes all you got to do is ask. Most people want to help you, but you got to ask first. And man, you've mastered that, and that's another big reason as to why you're doing so well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dawn,
I think follow-up is a lot of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we could sit there and talk to you all day, but before we let you go, I do have a question for you.
Right.
In the 6 years, all the transactions you've done, what's the one transaction or the one moment that you said, hey, this is why I do what I do. This is why I'm meant to be in real estate. I know you have several, but one.
Yeah, let's say. I think one of the best ones was I had this guy that was limited income. He was retired, needed to get out and to find a new place because he was renting, and I think they were demoing his building. So he had to find a place, and very limited budget. But this was pre-COVID when you could find a house that was halfway decent for around $50,000. But I ended up finding him one for $30,000, move-in ready.
So you found him a $30K home, move-in ready.
Move-in ready. It needed a little updating, but it was very solid little house, cute.
That's awesome.
He was happy as a lark.
That's awesome. And what's move-in day look like for that? Did you guys go to the closing? Did you do a little celebration?
We do. I go to closing with them. We do a walkthrough before closing, make sure nothing's changed in the house. And I usually try to give them some kind of little closing housewarming gift.
That's awesome.
To match their personality.
Oh, you're so sweet. We do the same thing. We give a housewarming gift to every customer we close. We do one when the contract comes in as a little celebration, and then we do one more at the closing just to let them know we care.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, we think it's important. It's a part of doing business because it's what makes, the lending side, you understand from the real estate side, a memorable experience. That customer needs to have a great memory that goes behind each transaction. And you're given that even on the $30,000 house.
It was, like I said, those were the days.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, Dawn, we can't keep you here all day, even though we would absolutely love to. You've been just awesome to talk to. What did we not tackle today that we should have?
I think we've covered everything.
All right. Well, I got to ask you, what areas, you said you drive all over, what areas of Arkansas do you serve?
I try to keep it in the upper half of Arkansas, north central, eastern Arkansas. I have went to western Arkansas, but I try to keep it in at least a 3-hour range all the way around.
I love it. So north central Arkansas, but you will go a little further when needed.
Yes.
And when those folks out there want to find you, how do they get in touch with you? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
My cell phone's 479-903-3683, and I also have a email at Dawn Butler at BatesvilleRealEstate.net.
Let's spell that out to DAWN
BUTLER at BatesvilleRealEstate.net.
Perfect. And if you're watching this video, just look right across the bottom of the screen. You'll probably see that scrolling through just about now. And make sure you write that down and give Dawn a call or shoot her an email. She's just an amazing person to work with and just amazing person all around. By the way, if you're listening to the podcast, go check out the description. We'll have all of Dawn's contact information there as well. So, hey, Dave, anything you want to say before we let Dawn get out there and save some more homeowners?
Man, if you're looking for a home in Arkansas, call Dawn. She's a pleasant, great person to talk to. I love talking to her every single week. It's a pleasure.
I appreciate it.
Well, if she had the most pleasant government office in the United States, I can only imagine what that real estate experience is going to look like. So, you're just you're a delight to talk to, and it's been an absolute blast having you here on the show. Did you have a good time?
I did.
I told you we're going to have fun today. So, well, guys, we highly recommend that you reach out to Dawn. And if you want to find us, you can check us out at realestatesuccesspartner.com. Again, that's realestatesuccesspartner.com. You can also check us out on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio. We're on all the big platforms. If you want to watch the video, and we think you should, you got to meet Dawn live and in person. Come on over to YouTube. You can find us there at the Dubuc team. And you can also find us at the Dubuc team on Instagram and Facebook. So check out one of those platforms, whatever you like the best. Please subscribe so we can keep bringing this content back to you. Please like and comment. If you want to be on the show, let us know. We're always interested in other real estate partners to have success with. But we're your real estate success partners. I'm Devin Dubuc.
I'm David Nguyen.
And until the next time, we'll see you then.
Bye.